What's up, everybody? Troy Cartwright here. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. First off, the Q&A episode is dropping this Thursday. It will just magically appear in your feed as normal. But thank you guys for all the great questions. We love doing it, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Second thing, I have a new song dropping Tuesday night at midnight. It's a song called Married Now. I wrote it with Billy Montana and Justin Morgan, and I think it's one of the best ones I've ever written. So hope you guys love it. Thanks. Today's guest is the great Brinley Addington, originally from Kingsport, Tennessee. You know him from his cuts with artists like Parmalee, Tyler Farr, Kameron Marlowe, and perhaps from a little song called Chasing After You, his first #1, which was recorded by Hurd and Maren. Brinley is an amazing songwriter, an amazing artist, and I know you guys are going to love this episode. We talk about swimming with the fishes, not with the sharks, and how it's your crew that'll oftentimes get you over the finish line. I love this guy, and I know you're going to love this episode. Without further ado, here he is. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm good.
Yeah?
I feel good.
You do?
Yeah, that's great.
What'd you do today?
I actually had nothing today.
You didn't have a ride?
Pretty good. No, I ran errands and did life stuff, which was great.
That's a very important.
Yeah, when we're not, I guess, riding, there's other stuff.
There's, to me, like days off are like the same thing as packing.
Yeah.
Which is like, I will fill the available time that I have. So like if I have 20 minutes to pack, like I'll get it done.
Sure.
But also if I have 9 hours,
I'll pack all day long.
It's going to take 9 hours. Same with days off. I'm like, oh, I have like, I got to pay the bills. I got to go get my oil change, whatever. It's like, it's always going to fill all the time I have. So I love no ride days.
Oh, absolutely. And the oil change has been on the to-do list for like a week.
Are you a Valvoline guy?
I'm a Jiffy Lube man myself.
Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
I like 5-minute oil change.
Oh yeah.
But it's never 5 minutes. It's a little bit.
I would get so frustrated by that. I'm like, it says so on the sign. Why are we in here for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jiffy is kind of a little bit broader.
They do other stuff besides.
Yeah. They change your wiper blades and all the stuff I don't want to do, cabin filter, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. That's big time.
Oh yeah.
What's the thing that they're always lying to you about? Like they're like your power steering fluid it's purple. It's supposed to be orange. I think tires might be real.
Yeah, that might be real. I also feel like they pull the outside filter out and it's got like leaves and stuff in it. I'm like, is that really mine?
I know.
How do I know it's mine?
That's an easy one to change yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That and windshield wipers.
Yeah,
but I need a new car badly. I'm embarrassed driving around.
You need to change the whole car.
I need a whole new thing. It needs to go. But
what happened?
It's just it's 13 years old, man.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time. But it's paid for and it still works.
Boy,
so I'm gonna ride it out.
Yeah.
Till I can. What are you driving?
I'm looking at the Toyota 4Runner now.
Oh,
it's a very sensible
guy. Gets a little bit of money.
Just a little bit, just enough.
Runner.
Yeah, that I'd been saving for that for a while before that happened, and it got me all the way there.
Yeah,
it got me over the finish line.
Oh,
very happy.
That's exciting.
So we're just plugging Toyota and Jiffy Lube right now.
That's fine. We need sponsors.
Yeah,
so Toyota.
Yeah,
I know you got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, where are you? I guess we start this thing off with the same question every time, which is how long have you been in town, Brinley Addington? August
of this year was my 15th anniversary, or 15th year in town.
Wow.
15th year of my sentence.
Did you make yourself like a birthday cake or?
I didn't. I like stopped for a second, took a deep breath and like kind of thought about, I get a little like around birthdays, which I was turning 35 2 weeks later. Mm-hmm. So I was in this like contemplative state already.
Yeah.
Like, what has this year meant? What do I do going forward?
What am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. Am I okay? And right at the 15 mark, I feel like that, like, I don't know how long I'll do this. I love this job. I love this life. I love everything it's created for me. But like I had this very real, like I'm turning 35. I've been here 15 years. What's the next chapter? Is this halftime? Like, am I running in the tunnel and like going in and like, all right, here's how we played in the first half. And we missed we dropped a couple balls and we missed the end zone a couple times. But we got in the end zone a couple times. How do we come out and score 50 points next time we, go out and we just run the score up on them? So I had a little of that this time around, but ultimately had just a lot of gratitude.
Yeah. Did you arrive at any conclusions or just?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's just a little, like, they're just going to move the target on me anyway.
That's just a little, existential crisis, which I feel like I've just been having one for about, 30 something years.
I think it's standard issue. Like you're like, here's your guitar, your key, and how about a crisis?
Yeah.
No, I think the joke, I always just joke about the moving target. I asked our friend Benji Davis one time, we were talking about the music business. I said, hey, Ben. He goes, oh, just trying to hit a moving target in the dark with my arm behind my back. How are you doing? And I laughed and I looked and I was like, oh, he means it. And I feel that way too. I feel like, man, right when you really figure it out, it changes. And I think in the last 5, definitely 10, but like even the last 5 years, the rules have changed and we have to approach it so differently.
They just keep changing.
But it's good. It's a challenge. Yeah. And I like working the puzzle. I like figuring that out. And whether it's the room or the business or whatever, I enjoy that part of it. But I definitely at year 15 stopped and thought, okay, what does this next chapter look like?
Yeah. So what does the next chapter look like? As we're just jumping way ahead here, so we'll go back.
Truthfully, I think the next chapter is a little more selective. I think, I was so excited when you first get here, like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, whether it's a writer's round or a co-write or a trip or a, writer's retreat or something. There's just something going on all the time, which is great.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, man, do I really love this? Is this something that's going to either make me a better writer? Is it a write with some friends that I really love? Is it a write with an artist that I'm really passionate about? Like, man, I want to be part of their story.
Yeah.
Or, it's like, is this good for country music? And I'm a bit of a purist, and it's probably kept me out of that end zone a few times of like, man, I really care about country music and contributing to it. And I'm like, man, is this good for it? Am I hurting it? Am I staining it? Am I treating it like a rental car when I should be treating it like it's my own personal vehicle?
Yeah.
We're just going to stay on cars and football this whole time.
Hey, that's great.
All great metaphors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm asking myself what that looks like, and it's still very, very early in that, but also I want to enjoy it more. I feel like I worked really hard and I compared a lot.
Yeah.
Up to this point, I'm like, man, what's good for me? What am I happy with? What am I going to be able to, hang my hat on at the end of the day and be happy with? And that was a really hard search, but within myself, because it's easy to look at your peers and say, oh my gosh, I've been here 5 years longer than that guy, and he's kicking my ass, and so. And then you look and you're like, well, I've done a lot of cool stuff too.
You've done some really cool stuff, man.
I've had a lot of fun. And been very fortunate. And I just, I don't know, it's easy sometimes to miss those things. And so I'm trying to be more thankful overall.
Yeah, increase the gratitude.
Absolutely.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. And especially when you're, gotten your, teeth kicked in a little bit. It's like you've had a big victory and they're like, oh no, it's over. And you're like, okay, it's hard to be thankful in those hard times, or something doesn't go the way you want it to, or it goes like completely opposite of how you want it to go.
Well, where are you from originally?
I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee.
Okay.
If you're from East Tennessee, you'll know the Tri-Cities, which is Kingsport, Bristol, and Janson City.
Okay.
Most people are like, oh, is that near Knoxville? And I'm like, it's an hour and a half northeast of there.
Gotcha.
Between 25 minutes from Virginia, 40 minutes from North Carolina.
Sounds beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right at the base of the Smoky Mountains.
Man.
Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
Which is Appalachian if you're from there. If you're not, it's Appalachian.
Okay.
But the Appalachian people
gotcha.
will correct you. So that's my PSA.
So that means, okay, so you moved here. Did you go to school somewhere, or like how did you end up in Nashville?
I started out, I always knew I wanted to be in music. It just was always lingering there. But, my folks are like, hey, go to school somewhere. And then we started doing research. Like my high school, thankfully, had like really great resources when like trying to decide what school you wanted to go to.
Okay.
And like, hey, music, you want to do music or do you want to do music business? I was like, can you do that? And is that allowed? And again, it's all changed.
Right.
So MTSU had a great music business program, and I went there for 2 years. And I was really like, I moved to town to be an artist, and I was trying to play shows, and there's just no opportunity there, at least at the time. And I started coming to Nashville with some friends to watch their sisters play soccer at Belmont. And like, I started like, this school is a little smaller, and that guy's got a guitar, and that wait, where there's got some drummers and a bass player, like all going in the same direction. That they must be playing a show.
Yeah.
So I started coming to some shows of some Belmont kids, and I was like, man, like these guys are playing. Like they're like not just talking about doing it.
They're doing it.
I had you had a drummer and a banjo player, and that makes for some really strange coffee house performances of like, we weren't really doing like the Mumford and Sons thing, but we couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. But I studied entertainment industry studies at Belmont and graduated there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then what kind of happened? Like, what those first 5 years look like? Like, I want to, I think people are always curious, right? It's like, how do I get a publishing deal or whatever? So I'm always interested in that part of the journey for people, because I think it's important for people to understand, like, everybody's journeys is different, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I came out of school thinking I was going to be God's gift to country music as an artist. And I was playing on Broadway. I was, traveling. We were playing these little, like the Tin Roof circuit. We were doing all kind of, fraternities, sororities, anything that paid decent enough to get us there and back. And, where I could at least pay the band guys and the gas bill. And
sure,
we'd, try to hang in for that. But I wrote the whole time, and I got my first deal in 2012.
Okay.
And at what was then called Razor and Tie Music, and Concord owns all that now. And I was kind of minding my own business and writing songs so I would have stuff to sing, and little by little, the rights get a little bit better. You get in a room with somebody that can help you, and Razor and Tie helped a lot, kind of helped me write up and learn. Finally, it was like, you go from writing with your peers who know exactly what you know, which is nothing.
Right.
But you're all coming up together, which is wonderful. And then 2 or 3 of us all kind of get publishing deals at the same time, and they're learning and I'm learning, and we're all kind of like, okay, we're getting smarter.
Yeah.
At least we're learning tricks of the trade from people who've been doing this for 25, 30 years. And
how did you meet those folks from Razor and Tie? Was that like kind of through your the stuff you're doing as an artist, or like, I don't know, how do you feel like you got on their radar, I guess is what I'm asking.
I think I got on the radar a lot through my business manager at the time, Becky Harris. She introduced me, my friend Mark Rucker introduced me to Becky Harris.
Okay.
And she became my business manager, and we ended up doing a little development deal for a little while. And she introduced me to Lisa Janson, who was in charge of Razor and Tie Nashville at the time. And it was a very quick deal. There was a couple other deals floating around, but they showed up and were the most excited, and it was visible.
That's awesome.
It was like, wow, they'd call you back. They would invite you to stuff, email you back. Hey, come by and get coffee. Hey, come right over here. I don't write there. Well, but it's okay. Come over here and write anyway if you ever need a room. And really did all the kind of intangible right things.
Sure.
Which I think is important. I think you got to feel the excitement.
Yeah, I think Win Varble said one time, like, everybody else was nibbling, but they bit.
I love that episode, by the way. I listened to the whole thing. Win's an inspiration.
Oh,
for
dude,
sure.
He's the best.
He is. There's no one like him.
No.
There's just one. I think that's probably all we can handle. But no, he's one of a kind in the absolute best way.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that I started writing with around that time, actually. And he had been around, I guess, 20 some years at that point, and he had a lot of wisdom to pass down. And it's not like they sit there and like put up a whiteboard or anything and like do class. It's just you learn from watching them do it. I'm like, well, how did he get to that? And I'm like, oh, I see what he did.
Yeah.
And just so laid back. I mean, you've written with him, enough to know, like, he teaches you without teaching you. And there's so many other great writers that can do that for you.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And so you get this, you do this first deal, and then did you feel like you were starting to have some success as a writer? Were you still doing the artist thing pretty heavy as well? I believe, you know.
I was still holding on to that. And no, right then I just again, I felt really protective over everything I wrote. I thought, well, I'm writing this for me. This is for me. Mm-hmm. And shortly thereafter, so I got out of that deal, and I was out of a deal for a year and a half, which was pretty tough. And I went back. I was playing not only all the stuff that I mentioned earlier, but I was playing all kinds of other stuff, just trying to keep the lights on. So I didn't have to go get a real job. And luckily, Lee Crable and Courtney Christ came along from Hori Pro. Yeah. And they signed me.
Okay.
And I was so it was getting to the point where we're going to have to be thinking about McDonald's or something. There's going to have to be some job in here.
See.
I had nothing against McDonald's, but I didn't want to do something I didn't.
Well, I think in that circumstance, right, you're just worried that you're going to have to do something that is completely removed from the thing that you want to be doing.
Exactly. Which takes you away from it.
Yeah. Which is hard.
Yeah. And that's especially when you feel like you've been close and you're like, oh man, I was just about to turn the corner.
Yeah. And
one of the things and I'm very grateful for it now. Cause I was getting pretty burnt out, just from all the, I was playing all these covers. I was writing my butt off through the week, and I'm like, man, when I go out and play, no one wants to hear anything of mine. They want to hear cover songs. They want to hear, Wagon Wheel and Dust on the Bottle and all the great songs that we all love and, are burning in our brains now. But got to be frustrating. I was like, I know I'm writing good songs. I knew it in my gut. I'm like, I can do this. And I'm feeling better and better about it. And that was about, let's see, when would that have been? That would have been 2015.
Okay.
And, they were like, hey man, we love all this stuff. We love all the artist stuff, but can you just take a little break from the road and just focus on writing, catch us up. Let's have some catalog. And I was like, oh sure. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm burnt out anyway. So I start getting the check coming in. I'm like, I don't have to say yes to literally everything. And I cut way back, and then stuff started happening when I was giving it my full attention, and, I wasn't trying to be famous or worrying about my social media too much or booking shows for myself, which I booked from myself just about the whole time. And there were some agents here and there, but it was a full-time gig as an independent artist, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're manager, tour bus driver, booking agent, roadie, all the sound man, you're all of it. And it's a full-time thing. And so I was relieved to just focus on writing. Yeah. And I feel like I came a long way, and I came to know a lot of great people during that time that kind of shepherded me along as well. They were again, people like Phil O'Donnell, and there were so many other people, and just even my friends that were there at the time, at this point, Hurd
was a great crew over there at the time.
It was. And it was, my buddies, Ryan Beaver, Mike Walker, Neil Medley came along shortly thereafter, and so did Joe Clemens, and I was riding literally with some of my very best friends. Yeah. And we had a blast. And my friend Sarah Turner that was over there, we got our first cut together about this time, and it was a song called I Should Go to Church Sometime. It was Tyler Farr, and it was my first number 53 song. And it was he'll always be special, and I guess he still plays it, which is really nice. But we were so excited, and went and saw it at the Grand Ole Opry and all this stuff. And shortly thereafter that, I'm like, okay, stuff's moving. Yeah. I think they're ready for me now. I can go back and make my own record.
I see.
And just completely ruined everything. It just, the record did nothing. And, the holds kind of cooled off a little bit. And it was a pretty, it kind of let me know where I really needed to focus.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard I think everybody does that. It's just what am I, unfortunately, in the music business in Nashville, maybe in life, I'm not really sure, but it's no one ever really lays it out for you, but you will get your answer. If you start to look, you're like, all right, okay, I think I probably know the answer, but and it's hard to.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, you will get it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And that's the joke I always tell, or when I'm playing around or something, if I sing one of my old songs or something, it's this town let me know pretty quick it wasn't having any of my my junk. But I actually had a lot of really great opportunities come out of that, and I learned a lot from that, and I employ a lot of that now still, like talking to young artists and like relating with young artists. And, it's like, yeah, our van broke down, and I'm like, oh, I had that happen to me, 10 times. And
no doubt,
so it gave me a lot of things that I'm thankful for, but I've never been happier than just focusing on songwriting. It was a hard thing to let go of, but it's been very rewarding. I think the more I invest time in it, the more I spend around it, the more I'm sure that it's exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a good lifestyle.
It is. It suits me a lot better.
Was that like a gradual realization, like the water kept getting hotter, or did you like wake up on a Monday one day and was like, I'm done?
It's a little of both. I'd kind of gotten some people that were in my corner at the time, like leaning on me pretty hard, like, man, if you would just focus, if you would just let go of this other thing. I'm like, well, this other thing has been the thing I've wanted my whole life.
Yeah.
It's not just like a balloon you just let go. I'm like, okay, cool. That was easy.
Yeah.
It was something I really wanted, and it was hard. It was personal. It was a, faith-based decision. And but there was a day I remember I woke up and I got to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and did not think of anything that had to do with being an artist. I was thinking about songs. And I was drinking coffee, and I'm like, I think it's like when you break up with somebody and, like you still love them a little bit. Yeah. And it's like, I got through a day, and then you went to 2 days, and then you feel better, and you don't think about them. And, I felt like I'd gotten over like a really big breakup, and I was like, I'm better. I'm on the other side, and the grass is greener, and the sky is bluer, and
the birds are chirping.
They're finally chirping again. And, which was funny. It was right in the middle of like January of that year of like 2018. It was just ugly outside and just really terrible. But it was a great realization. And while it took I wish I had realized it sooner.
Really?
But you get to the things and you get to it in your own time.
Yeah.
And I've seen friends go through it, and I've seen people that I sort of know that you want to help out or encourage them to keep going, or to say, hey man, like I see it, like you can do it, but you can't point that out to anybody. It's not really like people pointing it out to me. I didn't want to hear it.
It's like quitting smoking or something, right? Like you'd have to, I imagine you just got to like,
you have to really want to.
You got to decide it for yourself.
Yeah, and it's an addiction with it. It's in itself. I used to dip. I quit. Quitting nicotine is the hardest thing I've ever done, and that was pretty close. Like quitting the artist, you have to change your, not quitting, retiring. That's what I said. I retired and walked away from the game.
Yeah,
and it's hard. Like you have to want to do it. It's if you love something, set it free or whatever. But it's hard. It's not easy. It's not like, cool, I'm going to just go do a different job.
Right.
Because you have to stay with it. And then it takes a while for people to realize, I was listening to Jacob's episode and talking about how long it takes for people to take you serious. It's like, wait, we writing for you? I'm like, no. I'd like to make money now.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd like to not write for me if that's okay. And how long it takes people to hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, what can you do?
Well, it's like a rebranding of sorts, right?
Yeah, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still feel like I'm doing it.
Well, and sometimes you are and you don't even know it.
I know.
So
I'd like to stop.
Man, that's really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's sort of like a complicated thing to put words to.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was the question, but like that's a huge part of the thing.
Yeah. So around like 2018, you said you kind of lean all the way into the writing. Is that when cause you're over at, you're at Spirit now, right? I didn't make that
Spirit,
up.
Yeah.
When did you get on that deal?
And to be clear, that is the publishing company, not the airline or the Halloween store.
Okay.
It is, October. We have to be clear that that's not where I work for my family back home that doesn't exactly know what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2019. It was such a crazy, crazy situation. Signed, had about 4 or 5 months, and then COVID starts.
Oh, wow.
We're I'm trying to get to know how the company works, and I'm sitting on my couch.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a, and then some people came and went. I had a couple of pluggers come and go, but we have a really great group of people now, and we are kicking some butt, and it feels like a place to do some damage.
Yeah, dude, it's a great spot. I love all those people over there.
Oh, it's so great. And
yeah,
I think had I come to Spirit right out of that Hori Pro deal in 2018. So I was out for a year again. And
Yeah.
it was getting back to that point of like, I'm gonna have to start playing some shows again, or I'm gonna have to start doing something,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, what can I do that's gonna let me write during the day that I don't have to leave the thing and maybe sleep a little. And luckily they came along and just the door opened at the right time. And I was ready though. I was ready to do the work. I was ready to look at songwriting differently, and still trying to figure out what that means because it moves every day.
Of course.
But, it has been a great place to like really decide how I want to approach this.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, it's a really interesting story behind your I believe it was your first number one, Chasing After You.
Yeah.
With Ryan Hurd and Maren Morris. And like, I believe, so when that song went number one in 2021.
Yep. 2021.
Tail end there. And then when did you write it?
I was just talking about this the other day, so this information is fresh. So I actually don't usually walk around with this, but it was like October 2014 we wrote the song.
Wow.
In November of 2021 it went number one.
That's crazy.
So it was just, a couple days. But this is the old joke is like, what's it feel like to be an overnight success? I'm like, whew, it's a long night.
Yeah. What deal was that song on?
It was a Hori Pro song.
Okay, it was.
And then as soon as when I left Hori Pro, they became Mojo.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is so funny. They just got bought by Concord.
Oh my God.
Razor and Tie got bought by Concord, so they own like all my stuff.
That's crazy.
Which is really funny. I go visit it sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wrote that. I wrote that with my good friend Jerry Flowers, and it was our first write.
Wow.
And I come up the stairs, and I hear Jerry's one of the most musically gifted people I've ever been around. Like,
absolutely.
It's just unbelievable. He's playing bass for Keith Urban. That's his third instrument. Like he started on piano, then he learned guitar, and he's playing bass. Wow. In one of the biggest touring bands in country music, and it's so amazing to me. And so we do the thing, you get to know each other, and we talk for about an hour. And I as soon as I walked upstairs at Old Combustion, he's playing that lick, and I'm just like, what is that? That's amazing. Well, I've never heard anything like it. And he's kind of singing along with it, and I feel like I busted the door like the Kool-Aid man. I'm like, hi, I'm Brinley, whatever that is, we got to write that.
Yeah.
And we sat there and talked, got to know each other, and then we were just kind of like, man, we can agree this is kind of like a bedroom song, right? And he said, oh yeah, it's sexy for sure. And I said, yeah, like a "You Come Over When Your Wine's All Gone" thing. And he just sung that over top of that melody, and I think we were done in 45 minutes after that. But we got in a hurry in the beginning, and then it took its sweet time to get cut. But
yeah,
he played it for Keith. Keith held it for a year and a half.
Okay.
Right out of the gate. Like I feel like it was like in the system for like 2 weeks, and then Keith held it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Cut it 2 different ways.
Really?
He cut a version with Maren, and he's like, I don't know if it's a duet. I think I'm just going to rip a solo or something. And we're like, okay, cool, man. Yeah. And we actually wrote this bridge with Maren for her to sing, which I thought we want her on the song. Like, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And she was super respectful, and she's, such a great writer herself, but, very respectful during the whole process, and wrote a bridge that felt like it was there the whole time, which was really cool. And
yeah.
So that didn't work out, and then it was pretty bumming. But we, I think it was like a month after he let it go, Tim and Faith are making a duets record,
right?
And they want it for that, and then like they held it for 4 or 5 months, and it came back. I just don't think it's a duet. I just don't think it's a duet. And I was like, oh man, okay, well that's a bummer. Tim and Faith would have been cool. Yeah. And shortly thereafter, maybe 4 or 5 months later, Little Big Town, and they're all about it, and they're kind of wanting to do it as a duet too. Like, we and didn't do it. And at this point, I'm like, is it as good as I thought? Like, is it me? Is it something I said? Did I do something? Am I not living right?
Well, it's so unusual for a song to go through that. A song will get held and then released, and somebody else will pick it up, but that's like 3 of the biggest names.
Yeah, and we're
in country music.
Yeah, and we're 2-3 years into it at this point. Yeah, and it goes for like a little cold snap there, and like nobody had it, and I'm like, I was still playing it out at rounds and just believing it. I'm like, somebody's gonna walk in here to pick up their chicken fingers tonight in this bar I'm playing at, and they're gonna hear it. And We got a call one day, Billy Currington wanted it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, one of my favorite singers.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think it was like 24 hours or something. It was a very short, it felt like 5 minutes. It's like, you just held it. You could just take another day. And he let it go. And I was at a Hori Pro riding retreat, and I just went outside, and I was like, there's somebody had a golf cart there, and I just sat on this golf cart, and I'm like, man, this sucks. Like, I'm getting my teeth knocked in on this over and over. And I'm like, man, am I just like, and out of the blue, I'm sitting there and Ryan Hurd calls me, and I've known Ryan since Belmont.
Okay. And
he was friends with a lot of my friends and got to know him. And, we wrote a little bit and sang some demos for him, and we were hanging out and, figuring life out.
Yeah.
And he and our buddies, Joey Hyde, Matt McGinn, Aaron Esheis, were doing these monthly writers rounds at Belcourt Taps.
Okay.
And I had played Chasing After You at one of those things in 2014. And he's like, man, whatever happened? And he called me that day after the Billy Currington thing. He was like, hey, what happened to that Chasing After You thing? And he had just signed his deal at Sony. And I was like, it's available. Like,
it's for sale.
As of 10 minutes ago, yeah, you can have it. And he was like, man, I'd really like to record it. And I was like, okay, man, sure. I was like, man, I would be thrilled. Like, at this point, I'm like, this song just maybe doesn't have the legs I thought it did. Maybe it's not good enough for Keith Urban or Tim McGraw. And I'm like, you know what? Ryan is an incredible songwriter. I think he's one of the best writers in town.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, it's otherworldly, his talent. But I thought, man, that's like a high praise from him, to want to cut one of my songs. I'd be thrilled with that. And I didn't know what Ryan was going to do. He had just signed his deal. I was just excited, Yeah.
And
3 years later, I was like, it's people, Jerry would ask, or, the publishers would ask, is it still on hold around? I'm like, I guess. I don't really know. I try not to bug him about it. There was a couple times where they wanted to pitch it, and I'm like, no, let's let Ryan keep it. Like, I'm getting tired of this emotional beat down. I was like, I'd rather him have it.
Sure.
And I was had a little co-pub on that too, so I had a little bit more say than normal. Yeah. Which was weird. I felt like, am I shooting myself in the foot? And I was like, I don't care. This has just been painful. I love the song. I probably babied it too much. And, but right before Christmas, 21, he's like, he texts me, check your email. And he had sent me the song. Wow. And it's him and Maren singing on it. I'm like, see, Keith, it was a duet. And, a little bit, but no, I joke, but it was so surreal. I was like, I finally got to hear it. And I think they cut it a couple times. I think he cut a solo version, he cut a demo version with Maren, and something didn't quite work out. And then, honestly, because of COVID, they got to do it. She was supposed to be doing this big tour, and it wasn't going to work out for her to be around for the promotion of it. And so that was one really great thing that came out of that. And it's a long story. It's not a short story. So I'm wasting tape, I know, telling all these details. No,
I mean, it's fascinating, bro. I think people love this stuff.
Yeah, well, I hope. People have probably sped me up by this point. So we're on the times 20 now. But yeah, it was incredible how it came to be.
And it was, I don't know if this is right, but I think this is right. It got cut, and then I think it was still like, weren't quite sure what the thing was, and then didn't Ryan's guitar player did he recut it? I don't remember. I don't remember the story super well, but
so going back to that lick that Jerry wrote, like, people can't play it. Like, it's got these little nuances, and I can't. I just barely. You've written with me. You've seen my. It's like flogging a guitar, not playing it, and so. They tried a few different guitar players, like, it's just not the same.
Because it was that riff.
It was that riff. And they brought Jerry in even. And Jerry, like, he's like, yeah. He, like, and the way you play things one day might not be the way it was. And I'm not talking about anybody's ability. Yeah. It just wasn't the thing. Sure. And then Aaron Esheis, our buddy, produced it. Yeah. Ryan's guitar player, Teddy Reimer, who's a great producer himself, and he was like, "Can I take a crack at it?" And then just nailed it to the wall, and it sounded like the work tape the day we did it.
Was he? This was the guitar part specifically.
Yeah,
and he just was like, "Let me
let me mess with it.
Put me in.
Yeah, just I think I can do something with this. And he put some more sparkle stuff on there too that I think really made the track sound as hitty as it did.
Yeah.
It was it really feels like such a group effort of like, Ryan and Maren and Aaron's involvement and Teddy's involvement and then Jerry's, riff and the lyrics that he had and like whatever I did. And, how long it took and it was special to have, my buddy Phil Lawson played drums on it. Like, it's just like, I think it was the first number one he'd ever had playing on something, first master. Wow. And, check me on that, Phil. But it was a really special situation.
And how cool to, there's this concept that I really like, and it's kind of a business thing, but I think it's true in life. And it's like, it's swim with the fishes, not with the sharks. And really what that means is like, you're always going to get a little bit further when you're doing life, when you're doing business, when you're doing songwriting, when it's with your peers. We're all kind of in a similar place. There's so much more room for like magic stuff to happen. Like Teddy gets to try playing guitar on it because like they've tried everything else,
Yeah.
Why not try this?
Exactly.
That wouldn't always happen if you were, if that record was, being cut a different way, like they would have either just yeeted it out or, it just
walked away from it.
So that's so cool that like, your community that you've been building for the whole time you've been here, like in the end is kind of what was able to like get the song to this place. It's like, that's magical, dude.
Absolutely.
It's so special.
It took, and everybody, I tell a story if I'm playing, Bluebird or Listening Room or something like that. And everybody's like, man, what a great story. It's a story that I would have sat in the crowd and been inspired by, like, to say like, oh, don't quit, don't give up. And I would tell anybody listening, don't quit, don't give up. If you believe in a song, maybe you're right.
Maybe you are right.
Maybe you are. You don't know. It really is. Again, the target might move right as your thing, collides with it. Yeah. So, but I'm also like, now that I am that story, I'm like, I don't need another one like that. I'd rather write a song on a Tuesday and have it cut on a Thursday. Like, let's not go, let's not take 8 years to have cuts now would be lovely. But it did, that time made me sure of how bad I wanted it. Yeah. How bad I knew I could do it. I knew the song was good. And I think I was a little precious with it, and I think I maybe held on a little tight and missed some things. But I knew it would happen. Man, I think some people say you can't know. I with that one, I had a gut thing. It was a gut. I was like, it's just going to take time. And there's a few others. I think there's those few songs. I'm like, one day, the right person is going to stumble on this song. Yep. And you were vindicated in your protectiveness. Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of "I told you so," but I patted myself. I like quietly was like, "Yes, I knew that." Well, so what was the ride like? Like this thing when they put it out, was it for sure going to radio, or was it it was the single, and then how long did it take? And so they sent it to me like right before Christmas. Okay. And then it came out like Valentine's Day-ish, I think like the 12th or something. Yeah. And they told me it was going to radio in, I think it was March or May. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Been a minute. And, but I remember being out of town when it went to radio. I got a ton of ads, which was really cool. Yeah. And like right out of the gate, got like almost 70 ads. I'm thinking like 69 exact ads. And nice. Yeah, nice. And and it was fun. And like I was, just not expecting that. I was I'm just happy we're pushing the boat out in the water. This is going to be great. Yeah. Maybe some people will hear it. And the ride was great. And there was a lot going on at the time. I had a publisher leaving the company, and both of my grandparents had just passed, and they got to hear it on the radio though, which I thought was really cool. That's really right cool. Before they, peaced out and left us, like they got to hear it, and they were always so encouraging of me. That meant a lot, dude. That's amazing. So there was so much tied into it that a lot of people didn't know or see, but My grandfather was such a huge advocate for me, like helped me in the times when it was tough. He really helped me out a lot and was always encouraging.
Yeah.
So I thought that was special. And, it, took its time climbing. It was great. It's like you want it to go. And then you get it to that sweet spot. Like, all right, slow down, take it easy.
Yeah.
And there were so many, I feel like during that time, there's so many duets going on. Mm. There was the, Dustin Lynch and Mackenzie Porter thing. There was By Dirt. And, again, I was listening to the episode you had with Jacob, and I was just thinking, I was like, one of them was going to knock the other one out.
Oh, really?
They won everything, so we didn't win no duo stuff. They won everything, and I love those guys, and I'm so happy for the Davis and Jenkins brothers. But I was like, man, come on now, we got this duet over here too. And but what a massive song, and we just barely went number one. It was just Hurd was. He had been very optimistic, but the night before, he was like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. And the next morning he called me and told me, which was really cool. And it's just get to celebrate with your friends. Yeah.
Did you do anything crazy or?
Went to Red Door.
Of course.
And I learned that day, it had been a while since I'd been, and I was pretty wounded after that. And I haven't really been the same since. So I think, let me know I'm in a different chapter now.
Yeah. You got to enjoy it though.
Oh, yeah. It was a blast.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Did you, I always ask people whatever, waking up the next morning or not because of the hangover, but let's put it a week afterwards. Did you what does that feel like to have a number one song? Did you feel like, oh my God, I gotta was it just gratitude? Was there I know my reaction would be I gotta do it again. Oh my God.
Yes. There was that. There was absolute immense gratitude. Yeah. Immense gratitude of just all the hoping and praying and working and driving through the night, playing all those shows, that the every little twist in the road that led to that moment. I thought of all those things. I vividly remember sitting on my bed. I think it might've been the Tuesday or Wednesday that morning. I was getting ready to go write.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, it was a long way to go to get to this point. And I'm hopefully I don't have to go as far next time. There'll be another, because I'd been in town
13 years.
13 years at that point. And I was like, whoa, I can't wait that long again. What am I going to do? But I also made a kind of a point in that moment. I had a couple of days there where I'm like, I got to do it again. I just got to, and I was trying to force it. And it's just man, it's not going to happen that way. You just got to, I feel like my thing was I'm going to show up. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to white knuckle it as hard as I did in the first half or the first chapter or whatever of my, to that point. Because you can't make things happen. You just got to just write the song and turn loose of it. And I babied that song so much, and I'm like, cool, I write a song now. I just got to believe that it's there. And if it's not, go back and work on it. Or, just like I said, I had to not be so hard on myself. Yeah. Because I knew I would beat myself up to the point of nothing happening if I, I was like, all right, okay, cool. You just got to go have another number one now. And two, being at Spirit at the time, that being a Hori Pro song, I'm like, well, now I got to win one for them.
Yeah, of course.
And I still want to do that. And, we just extended and we're going to do that.
Yeah. I think about the things that I've learned just from doing this podcast. And it's a couple things come to mind. Mark Beeson says, this is the ride. And that always sticks with me when I get, frustrated, oh my, never, I haven't had a hit yet. And I believe in myself. I know it's coming, but I certainly have my days where I'm like, what am I doing? But I try and remember that this journey is part of it.
Yeah.
And it's actually fun. And I'm so lucky that I just get to do this.
Yeah.
And then I think about somebody like Billy Montana, who I think he was in town for 12 years by the time he had his first one. So, it's you never know. You just keep going and you keep showing up, and it's that is the beauty of this insane game that we choose to play.
It's like, it threw you off and it tramples you, and you're like, can't wait to get on it again tomorrow, and that's how I feel about it. And it's like, some days are great, some days are not so great, but it's still a hell of a living and
man,
way to live.
Absolutely.
And not just, I don't do it. I never got into this. I just love songs.
Me too,
like for money. I didn't get into this for money. I just love songs. I just want to be able to keep doing it. And that's, if money is anything to me, it just buys you more time.
More survival, dude.
Exactly.
That's it.
It's tokens to ride the ride. You know? And that's what I want to do. I'm going to stay on and hold on as long as I can. And and enjoy it. Like, I get a lot out of traveling, and I know you do too. And, seeing the world and seeing other people and talking to other people, and like you're doing with your podcast, and, or, just even, just sitting at the bar and random person, I've talked about that. Like, I learned so much. And, I was over in London earlier in the year, and I was sitting at the bar next to this guy wearing an Arizona Cardinals shirt. And I thought, oh, cool. And I said, you a big Cardinals fan? He said, and British guy. He's like, no, I just went to a game one time when I was in the States, and it's a little chilly today. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. But then we talked for 30 minutes, and that's where some of my stuff comes from.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as I'm able to keep doing that and keep doing stuff that people somewhat relate to, I don't know how relatable a guy who's an Arizona Cardinals shirt is
something
in London.
In there,
there's something there.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm just thankful to be here still.
Where do you source your ideas from? Is it a lot of stuff like that, like talking to people? Do you read a lot of books, watch movies? Like, do you tend to write stuff down, or what's kind of your?
I try to write as much down as I can because my memory is not good.
Yeah.
I've lately, in the last month or so, I'm getting them in my sleep, and I make myself get up and write them down, which always wakes me up, and I can't go back to sleep. And I've gotten up with a couple of ideas recently, which is so annoying because I value my sleep so much. But yeah, sometimes I feel like they fall out of the sky. You're just like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff I see on TV, stuff I read, stuff I, hear people say.
Yeah.
You try to do the sneaky thing where you get your phone out and just like, you're looking around for the other songwriters. Like, did anybody else catch that?
Oh, yeah. Especially when you're hanging with songwriters. Yeah. You're like, oh.
Now, and there's the joke too. Everybody just can't get their phone out fast enough. But it's different all the time. And sometimes I feel like I'm a really good idea person. I feel like lately I've gotten a lot of ideas. Sometimes I'm like, man, I don't feel like that's my role. I think sometimes I'm like, show me where you want to go and I'll help you get there.
Yeah.
Like the Uber driver, or I don't know, show me where the target is and I'll help us get there. I've at different chapters felt like until recently, I've my ideas are garbage. I don't need to be the guy bringing the idea in, but somebody brings an idea, I'm going to make it as good as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm having ideas again and I don't know why, but
do you get freaked out when you're out of ideas?
A little. And I've got a phone full of them, and I look at them like there's nothing in here.
That's it. It's so weird. It's like I don't know what that is. If it's some offshoot of imposter syndrome, but I've got a thing full of them on my phone, and I'm like, today I was reading them. I was like, do I really? What is this? What am I doing? I feel like I got nothing, but then all of a sudden, right? You show up. Whatever for that day, I bet tomorrow, hopefully I see the ball clear as day and write a great one,
Sure.
And that's part of
you look at the same idea tomorrow and you're like, oh, that's great today. I hated that yesterday.
Or sometimes someone will throw out an idea and you'll be looking through yours, you go,
that's it.
There's the connection.
Yeah.
That's how you hook
together. I had it backwards or whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
He said it better, his voice sounds cooler saying it. Or, she had a completely different angle.
Yeah.
And I think that's my favorite part of co-writing.
Yeah, dude.
If I had to write by myself every day, I don't know that I would do this. I love the collaboration of it all. And I do write by myself some, but that feels like divine intervention or divine inspiration when I do that. And I'll start something, I'll come back and then I'll put a little bit more down. I'm like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I
don't think any of us do, man.
No, if I knew, I'd go there every night and pick up some more stuff. If this is like the Walgreens down the street.
Yeah.
Walgreens sponsoring this podcast. We're trying to get some sponsors on here now.
Okay, we got Walgreens, Toyota,
Jiffy Lube.
That would be enough.
I know. It gets you through.
That's awesome, man. Well, before we get out of here, do you got any advice to the young buck that just moved to town or is thinking about moving to town? What would you tell them?
Oh, just stay out, man. We're full. No, we're not hiring.
Yeah.
Man, just know that it's tough and it's not for everybody. And somebody told me the other day there's more people signed to NFL teams than there are signed songwriters.
No way.
And that's all, like, not just Nashville. That's all of us. That's New York and LA. And
wow.
So it's easier to get in the NFL, which is my backup plan if this doesn't last. I'm gonna go walk on with the Titans. I don't know what, but can't kick, can't throw. But the
lineman,
yeah, probably. I don't know. I watched that Kelsey documentary, and those guys, it's rough. I'm talking about all the arthritis and stuff. I'm like, man, I'm already just sore from.
From Red Door.
Yeah, Red Door in 2021.
Yeah.
I went to Red Door a lot in my day. The advice I think of all the time when somebody asks is like, a friend of my dad's told me, like, keep praying, keep showing up, don't do anything that makes your stomach feel weird. It's like, you gotta, I don't know, whatever you believe in something more than yourself.
Yeah.
And trust in that, and trust, when you don't have strength, ask for it. And when you need help, ask for help. And when, keep showing up, just got to be present to win. So if you're thinking about moving to Nashville, if you think this is where you want to be, you should probably be here.
Yeah.
Can't win if you're commuting back and forth. I have a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I don't want to move there. I don't know. I got a boyfriend or I've got a girlfriend and, oh, well, I got the. You gotta be here.
Yeah.
And man, trust your gut. Like there's things that are like, oh, I can move my career ahead by doing this, but am I going to be able to look myself in the mirror? And you have to want it. It really isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And there's a lot of people here. I've known people that have been here as long as I have. I've known people that have been here longer, and I've known people that have gone home and had really wonderful lives doing something else, but you just have to really want it.
Yeah.
And halfway wanting it's not going to get you there.
Got to want it all the way.
Yeah, you do, and you have to be willing to. Patient. I hate the word patient. I'm an impatient person. And
you did pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I had to be, and it's that thing too. Is like they tell you, like, don't ever pray for patience because God will,
yeah,
he'll teach you.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I accidentally slip and pray for some patience, and that's why it took 8 years to get cut and 13 years to have a hit? And it's like, don't do that again. Now I pray, like, help me use the patience you gave me. Mm-hmm. I don't ask for no more. But yeah, no, I think patience is a good thing. I think you have to be willing to just stay till everybody else goes home.
Yeah.
And I'm just not going to go home.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Man, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. That's it. That's the pod. See you later. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Keep rating, keep reviewing, keep subscribing. We love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.